once we've come to a consensus of what we want, we give it to the Hall of Music. And Steve Hall is our chief designer and creator of the actual look of the show. So we give him our ideas, and he comes with some ideas of his own based on what we tell him, and then he takes that away for a few months and creates the actual look of what the stage is going to be like. So each group set, what the risers will look like, the flats, any additional things, how we're going to accentuate the orchestra in that standpoint. And then when I approve that, and we go through some changes and some updates and some suggestions for things that we think might be better, they take it and start building it literally the day after graduation. So when graduation ends, that Monday morning, they're already starting to build. Things that are larger, they obviously start building maybe a little before that in the scene shop. But they're starting to build the big things and painting, and throughout the summer they're building. And once we get back to the school year, they package up as much as they can load up and send back to the warehouse, and continue to build and on the smaller items. And then when it's time to load in at the end of October, they wheel it all back out again and bring it into Elliott and start hanging lights and start hanging drops and bringing in the risers and start anchoring things to the floor. Once the last convocations performance has happened, then we start coming in and start rehearsing in a skeleton kind of set pieces, and then things start to get more solidified and refined, and they put on the final touches in the orchestra, and now we're running basically with all the bells and whistles working, and they're making just fine-tuning things. Thankfully, the staff works incredibly hard, and they have got it all figured out. It works really well, and we've got a lot of partners on campus that help things work.
Everything that I do that's involved in the Christmas show surrounds our donors. So we function and are here as an organization because of our donors. So a lot of the things that we do cater to them, keep them informed, keep them happy, keep them engaged, and then give them the benefits of giving throughout the Christmas shows. There's some different examples of that I take care of. The first thing starts really over the summer, because we do priority seating for donors. So if you give $100 or if you give $1,000, you get seated at a certain level. So it's a lot of working with the box office. We send out a solicitation over the summer, and then those donations come in, and then they get seated appropriately. So it's just constant communication with them. They actually do the seating, but I'm double checking, making sure that people are where they're supposed to be, and that they're taken care of in that way.
As a scheduling and events coordinator for the Christmas show, it is my responsibility to make sure all of the students and staff are fed during that week. So we have pizza, all kinds of different meals. The Outpost Catering brings in a bunch of food for them on the weekends. We buy snacks and fruit and water throughout the week leading up to the Christmas show. Then it's also my responsibility to put together the matinee. So I contact thousands of schools in Indiana and invite them to come and watch the show on Friday before it opens for the weekend. And we make the seating chart up here and schedule all of the bus parking and work with Purdue police and just make sure everything goes smoothly for the matinee on Friday.
I am in charge of all of the advertising for the Christmas show. So we do a lot of advertising that some folks don't know about until they are driving down the interstate and they see a big billboard that says Purdue Christmas Show. So we advertise a lot around Lafayette. We advertise on campus, of course, and then also in some of the papers in Indy. So we do a lot of print advertising. We also are really trying to advertise a lot more online. I get the pleasure of managing the PMO Facebook page and the Instagram and Twitter, all of our social media accounts, our PMO website. I get to update those with different deals like the student buy one get one ticket deal. We print handbills and we distribute those to students on campus. We have posters up all over Lafayette. So really the advertising is a big part of what I do, along with just promoting the show with the Christmas show t-shirts, the videos online. That's all part of the fun of my job.
Well, after the design's done, basically the designer's role is sort of like herding cats. You just got to keep after all these different things to make sure that they get done. That what you had on the piece of paper is exactly what got built. I mean, for example, just very timely, I found out this morning as we were putting things together in the set that, part of this thing wasn't built right. So it didn't go together. It was like, well, now what do we have to do? Because now, we're sitting 2 weeks from the start of the show with a piece of the set that doesn't work because it was built wrong. And because the way the show is so big, things have to be built in pieces and then assembled when the show starts loading in. So that becomes, an issue for the designers to stay on top of all those things to make sure that the design is executed the best that the stagehands can do. And that in the end, that process will continue right up through the very last rehearsal, the last dress rehearsal we have before we have that matinee show on Friday for the kids. You keep at it, keep plugging at it to try to deal with all these issues until the show happens.
So in about mid-September, we'll unveil the show. They get us all in the class of 1950 lecture hall, and they go through every song, and we get our music for the cantata, and our rehearsals for the cantata, the second act of the show, start right away that next day. And you have to get about 12 hours of cantata rehearsals through a course of a month, trying to work in your schedule, what rehearsals you can go to get all of your cantata hours in. Once we hit, and then late October, early November, we'll start in our own individual ensemble rehearsals. We'll start getting the music for what our ensembles are going to be singing. Each ensemble sings 2 or 3 songs within the show themselves, and then we all come together for the opener and closer. The opener and the closer, we kind of combat and do ourselves when about 3 or 4 weeks before the show starts in the middle of November. We all get together and learn the choreography. We polish and clean the choreography, and then we come back and we're in the Hall of Music every single night for production week, putting the folks from the hall in conjunction with PMO, working it all together. It's not just PMO's show. This is a dual show between the Hall of Music and PMO, and we certainly neither side could do what they do without the other one. And so it's a really cool partnership that we have, and a really great relationship that we can put on the show 83 years in a row and have one of the best facilities in the entire country to perform in.
Every student here has put in so many hours of time and energy into preparing their ensemble specific numbers as well as the greater group choreo numbers and the cantata. So every student has put in at least 100 hours of rehearsal. For me personally, as one of the student choreographers, I worked with the other choreographer for the Purduettes on doing one of the songs for the Purduette set. And then I also met with the professional choreographer that PMO hires, Damon Brown, in October alongside the 3 other choreography assistants, and he taught us the choreo that PMO hired him to create, and then we actually taught the rest of the students in PMO. So we got together in the co-rec and we taught them 2 numbers, the opener and the closer, and then we spent the next 2 weeks cleaning that choreo, making sure it was ready to go on stage. We put everyone in their formation, which required us to find out their height and their dance ability, and we put everyone on the risers in a place that we thought would make sense, and we taught them the choreo, and then it was kind of theirs to perfect from that point.
When you're dealing with choreography rehearsals, it's just going chunk by chunk, getting people in their particular location and where they'll be on stage within some reason, and then running those numbers and getting them comfortable with what's coming up, getting them singing in that. First thing, it's learning the moves, and then you put the music with it, and then they get better at communicating with their faces, putting all the facial expressions in it and feeling behind it. With regard to the cantata, it's really just getting people comfortable enough with the music that they can start feeling emotionally with it. So it isn't just rote singing and feeling like that they're just singing the notes that are on the page. We do a great deal of work on the interpretation of the music, and that goes for both the choreographed, fun, Christmassy Santa numbers to the sacred, very introspective and somewhat emotional sacred numbers in the cantata. We approach them similarly.